150 years ago, Social Democrats tamed the first industrial revolution. By putting people first, we have built a unique society in Europe, with free education for all, because everyone deserves a good start into life. With decent wages and working standards, limiting work to 5 days a week and 8 hours a day, because life is about much more than just work. With universal healthcare and a social safety net, because everyone needs a helping hand once in a while. And a pension, because everyone deserves a happy retirement at the end of their working lives. We have the freedom to speak our mind and the right to vote. Unlike other parts of the world, there is no child labor, no torture, no death penalty. However, our unique European way of life is under pressure. The digital revolution, automation, globalization, and climate change are turning societies and economies upside down, putting our hard-won rights into question. As Social Democrats, we can do it again. We can make this upheaval work for and not against us by putting people first, to protect and strengthen our unique European way of life. We are fighting for a better tomorrow, for you and your children.
Academy for Social Democracy explains social democracy. This is Juliana. She's a politics student. Together with her flatmate, Marco, she's talking about social democracy. Marco only had a rough idea about it until now. Juliana explains to him that social democracy is based on 3 fundamental values: freedom, justice, and solidarity. Freedom means that every individual should be able to decide how he or she lives. The state and society should not interfere arbitrarily. In terms of financial security, education, and social opportunities, every individual can live this freedom actively. Justice means initially that in the eyes of the law, everyone is equal. Irrespective of where he or she comes from, his or her family background, and his or her sex. But justice also means that Juliana and Marco are given the same opportunities as everyone else, and their achievements and requirements are taken into account. Solidarity is about everybody being willing to help each other. It's the glue which holds society together. However, these values are still not precise enough to derive concrete rules from them for how to live in harmony. This is why social democracy is also based on the 2 human rights covenants enacted by the United Nations, which apply in numerous countries. Marco knows that there are both negative and positive civil rights and liberties, but what's the difference? Juliana explains to him that negative civil rights and liberties are protective rights which protect him from interferences. Positive civil rights and liberties make it possible for him to be able to practice his civil rights and liberties. Libertarian democracy requires negative rights and liberties to be given priority at all times. Positive rights and liberties are only assured when they do not impede negative ones. In social democracy, positive and negative rights and liberties are taken equally seriously, as without the positive rights, some people would also not have access to the negative ones. Juliana explains this, taking the negative liberty, freedom of opinion, as an example. Marco has the right to speak his mind freely. To be able to practice this right, he must have the opportunity to develop his own opinion. This is why education is important. This is a positive liberty and is financed by all citizens by means of taxes. In other words, a small interference in the right to own property. In this way, the positive and negative rights and liberties complement each other. Marco has discovered a completely new side to social democracy. Now he wants to learn more and will be speaking up for his interests more in the future. After all, democracy needs Democrats. Further information on the topic from the FES in the Social Democracy Reader Number 1, Foundations of Social Democracy.
Denmark, Denmark, Denmark.
My dear American friends, here we go again.
Denmark.
It seems that President Trump is pretty obsessed with my country, Denmark.
Denmark, Denmark, Denmark.
The White House now released a report in which it warns against Nordic socialism.
Total socialism.
The report claims that the living standards in the US are 15% higher than in Denmark. Really? Higher for who?
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
Well, it's true that the top 1% in the US are much richer than the top 1% in Denmark.
I don't need anybody's money. It's nice.
And here's what the report doesn't show. An average blue-collar worker in Denmark makes far more than an average worker in the US.
Hey, believe me.
A person working at McDonald's in the US makes less than half of what a person working in McDonald's in Denmark makes.
They'll pay tax. They'll pay tax.
We pay quite a bit more in tax in Denmark, but for that you get free healthcare, you get free education, so all in all, your average living standard is much higher.
Very sad.
Let's look at poverty. The percentage of people that are poor in the US is 3 times higher. That means we have a lot less people living, sleeping and begging on the streets.
The American dream is dead.
Maybe you're right, Mr. President, in the US, but in
Denmark, 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 Denmark.
ordinary people can still fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to start right away with a couple of disclaimers and an aphorism. Bear with me because that's how we do things in Greece, speeches. Still, my views are local. I know Greek politics rather well and Athens politics probably better, but I don't know if what I say here can in any way be projected to the rest of the world or Europe. And here for the aphorism. I never quite understand the use of the term social democrat. To me, it sounds a little bit like democratic republic. It's either verbose in countries that practice democracy or used as a euphemism in North Korea. In my view, there can never be a socialist who does not believe, preach, or practice democracy, at least not in my country, and I will explain why. But given these disclaimers and aphorisms, you're probably thinking this guy's in the wrong conference at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, and you might be right. So instead of speaking on a subject I don't know in a place I shouldn't be, I decided to talk about something completely different. I decided to talk about love and trust. For without love and trust, we cannot have a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And without a government of the people, by the people, for the people, we cannot have democracy, we cannot have socialism, and we can, I understand, not have social democracy.